everyone. Happy Friday and happy bank holiday again. It feels like deja vu as we were here this time. Well, actually a bit later than this last week. So really good to be spending another Friday evening with you all. Of course, I'm Andy and this is Wrestling Royalty. And tonight we're going to be talking about a subject we are yet to really have kind of broached on Wrestling Royalty, which is AEW. It has been a massive, ginormous, stupendous, as some people may say, week for AEW. So it is great to have this opportunity to potentially learn a little bit more about it from one. And there will be a second person, I promise, coming in to talk a little bit more about AEW, some of the things you might be able to expect. And we're just going to get people's opinion on what to expect at All In, which, of course, is AEW's Wembley Stadium. Yes, that is right. And I'll repeat it again. Stadium show that is supposedly has sold just a few tickets. So we'll get into that when we come back after the big flashy intro. And I'm going to waste absolutely zero time. And I'm going to bring in our special guest to start with. He is Sam Smith, representing all the good channels that you already know, I'm sure. Give Me a Hole, yeah. WrestleSphere, and a multitude. I was told by my wife that I use the word plethora a lot. So I'm going to keep using plethora, but he works for a plethora of different outlets, and I'm sure he'll tell you about them throughout the next hour or two or however long we go. But really looking forward to having his expertise. Let's bring him in now, the one, the only, Sam Smith.
Not the singer, or the brewery, or the tennis player. Yeah, there's a bunch. I should have made a stage name. Yeah, thank you, Andy. I think plethora is a great word, by the way. It's an awesome word. I use it a lot as well. That and cadre are my two favourites for describing multiple things. But anyway, I'm rambling, which is becoming my catchphrase. I'm looking forward to this. It's because am I right in thinking, Andy, you're primarily a WWE guy, aren't you? You're a bit like Dom in that sense.
Yeah, I think it's I'm not one for tribalism, but when you've grown up on a product and not really had too many grumbles, like at the end of the day, we all have matches that don't go the way that we want to be, and we kind of see things that we wish would happen, or we don't see things that we wish would happen instead, etc. And we were just talking before we came on there. There's certain things that maybe we wish had gone differently, especially at WrestleMania just gone as well. And I think a lot of people would be in that field. But at the end of the day, I followed WWE since I was very young. And it is nice to see a big promotion come on the scene. It's kind of out of nowhere, really, because it was out of Ring of Honor, which I guess when it happened, it kind of was in the embers of Ring of Honor, and I'm done on a bet. And you can actually read about the kind of beginnings. I put together a feature that went live this week on rushonrock.com. So that's kind of where this came from. It's a big week for AEW. And I got a few text messages, as you probably did. And when you kind of cover wrestling and you get your friends and family say, hey, have you heard about this? And you're like, yes, I have heard about this. I am going to cover it. But that's when you know something's quite big, when it kind of hits people who don't normally follow it. So I thought, who better to bring on is a couple of guys who know AEW quite well and follow it. And I would make no qualms and not hide anything. I am not an expert in any way, shape or form, really about anything, but especially not about AEW. So I thought I'd get a couple of people who might be a little bit better than me to lend their voice and let us know what's going on. So I have Sam, and I'm also going to bring in another guy who's way more of an expert on AEW than I am, who also shares the same last name, and we've had this joke before. Let's bring in Dom Smith to make it the Smiths. Here he is.
Hello. We should be a tag team. Hang on. Who gave him the opinion that I'm an AEW expert?
That was
I
me.
was thinking that. I wasn't because you're a little bit like Andy. I was thinking because
Anthony loves AEW. He's up Tony. He's so far up Tony Khan's backside. He's coming out the other side. I like AEW. I'm pleased that they're selling some tickets. And I think, like I say, I've had lovely experiences with them from a media perspective. I think the shows are great. But I was raised on character work, which is hence my love for Bray Wyatt and the WWE stuff, to a point, obviously, as I've reached in the last week. But I would say I'm far from an AEW expert, but I'm here anyway. And because I'm here, I'm going to do a good job for you, Andy, because I love you, mate. You're a good human being. Sam, you're all right. I'm grateful you're here too.
See, you're the shiny new toy, Andy. I was telling this to Kinney as well. I was like, shiny new toy, But anyway, it's this is like Matt Riddle versus Cassius Ohno in NXT. It's great. But so with me and AEW, I'm a big fan. Like when AEW came on the scene and they were signing everybody. I'm a big Kenny Omega fan and things like that. So I'm not massively a big Young Bucks guy. I've always found them a little bit slappable. But I've always enjoyed Omega and Okada. Sorry, you end any argument just by saying Omega and Okada sometimes. But I've been a massive fan. I kind of follow AEW just as religiously as I follow Impact, WWE, Ring of Honor, NWA, MLW.
All the wrestling.
Sam
watches all the wrestling.
Really do. You want to see something cool? Well, just to back that up. So this is hang on, where are you? This is my weekly list. I don't know if you can see it because of the screen's being bright. There you go. So that's my weekly list of all the wrestling I've got to watch. I actually have a list. I have a note on there to remind me. But anyway, yeah. But
do you spank yourself if you don't watch it all? Like whipping yourself.
No, but I do get anxiety over it. I do get.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll go to extraordinary lengths. Like I'll come home from the pub early. I'll stay up and watch it on my iPad in bed. I'll do stuff like that to catch up. But anyway, so I went a little bit frustrated with AEW. I'm not an apologist, by the way, for WWE or AEW. When they mess up, and I'm the first one to give them anyway. But during the brawl out, I really fell out of love after that. I was of the mind that everybody involved should be fired and never employed again. I was kind of like everybody, never mind who was at fault or what. But I've softened since then. And I'm now of the mind that let's bring everybody together. And if they can't work like grown-ups together, fine, stick them on different shows if you have to. I'm not because I don't want to do any whataboutery. WWE isn't perfect either, but I am a fan still very much of both. So I think I can give a good perspective here.
Yeah, well, I could certainly give a neutral perspective. Like I'm not like Anthony levels of Tony Khan tonguing, but I appreciate and respect the fandom that he has. And yeah, from a neutral perspective, this is wonderful. Obviously, we're here to talk about All In and Wembley. What a wonderful for wrestling fans. How great is this for wrestling fans? We have a WWE event, we have an AEW event. Impact's picking up steam. I used to love the Impact, live events they did over here. Maybe they'll come over soon. If this is booking a trend, and we can see, AEW selling out stadiums, then surely we're going to see more and more wrestling. There's it's an incredible time to be a British wrestling fan for sure.
So before we go into it, let's just kind of let's hit the brakes and start from the beginning, because I think there's a lot of people who, well, hopefully there might be some people watching this that maybe aren't really aware of AEW. As I said right at the beginning, something's getting big when you kind of your dad or your auntie is talking about it and texting you saying like, "Oh, have you heard about this?" And that happened this week. And one of the messages I actually got was, "Have you heard about this AEW show at Wembley Arena?" And I had to say, well, actually, it's Wembley Stadium, not the arena. And then I got that's a big effort. So, and this is from a company that, let's face it, the vast majority of people that aren't into wrestling will not have heard of. And that's not a shot at AEW. I think WWE, as I said in the before in my article, WWE has managed to ingrain itself over decades into mainstream culture.
Yeah, I would. Your argument there is the names. So Chris Jericho has brought people to AEW. CM Punk, the same. You know, the names are. You know, and if Chris Jericho is watching this, I'm sure his ego would love me to say this, but I think it's true. The names are just as valuable as the company.
Well, see,
Chris Jericho is just as ingrained in popular culture, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
You know, as much as WWE is. Do you know what I mean? So Chris Jericho is the name that will attract CM Punk even more so. So I would argue AEW doesn't need the. I mean, that's another conversation because AEW doesn't necessarily need the great brand recognition, even though it does have that. You know, certainly in the US, you know, Mexico, things like that. But it does need Chris Jericho. It does need Saraya, and crucially, I believe a lot of these tickets are being sold on the proviso that one CM Punk will be in attendance and performing at the event. And I think that CM Punk's name value has something to do with this groundswell of support. Alongside being the first big wrestling event in 30 years, which sells itself, to be fair. You know what I mean? Like the type of names AEW has times by the gravity of it, you know, it does sell itself, I think.
So I'm just going to give a shout out in the comments before we jump into the more of the discussion as well. Hello to everyone who's joined again. Thank you for spending your Friday night with us. Much appreciated. Happy bank holiday weekend. Happy coronation weekend to the soon-to-be King Charles. I'm sure he's watching this in preparation for his big day tomorrow. But we've got Tom in and we've got Jack in as well. So hey guys, what's going on? Appreciate the comments, and Jack is busy commenting. And good to see he's got a ticket. Sounds like it took him a little while to go for, but I'm sure it'll be worth the wait. We also have Dom's is an AEW skeptic. I'm not sure that's 100% true. It's just one of those things that, you know, as he explained at the beginning, it's he's more into his character work, which we will get into, whether that is a thing in AEW or, like, you know, whether it needs to be concentrated on. It's not. We'll get into whether it should be concentrated on a little bit more.
Where's Abaddon?
Yes, after Brawl Out.
Did Matt Hardy's gimmick? Sorry.
We'll get there.
I never want to see Matt Hardy's gimmick again. Anyway.
Yes, after Brawl Out, it took me some time to return. We'll kind of touch on that as well, because again, the kind of more casual views or new people to that might not even know what Brawl Out is. So we'll have to kind of go into a little bit of that, but not keen to go into it too much because it's in the past and hopefully it's things are mending. Jack says, I agree. WWE the definitive name brand in USA wrestling output. And then some very nice comments saying Sporzy's legend. Sam is great too from shock horror. They give me a hell yeah account. And that's a nice hat. Can you just tip your head down so we can see that hat? Look, there we go. I'm pretty sure you can buy some merch. Guys, do you want to tell us where you can buy some Give Me a Hell Yeah merch?
Go on, Sam. We have a spread. We have a spread. We have a spread shop store.
Something like, if you Google a variety of that, you'll find it.
Spread shirt. And Sam, what's in there?
Oh, blimey. Hats, T-shirts, baby grows, mugs, fridge magnets, blimey, katanas, nunchucks, with Give Me All Yeah on it. So it's really, really cool. Blimey, but this is my favorite logo. This is the we've got the Hulkamaniacs stuff and all of that, but this is the
spread shop.
Spread shop.
That's it.
Easy for you to say. Good plug-in. Like to hear it. You guys go check out and follow and subscribe to the Give Me a Hell Yeah channel and go and subscribe to WrestleSphere and SoundSphere and all those good platforms as well.
I didn't know this, but we have a Give Me a Hell Yeah Club t-shirt. A gay club.
Yeah, we do.
Did you know this? Come here.
Did you not know this? Did you not know about a gay club?
Yeah, did you not? We've got a gay club t-shirt.
It's amazing.
Andrew Sports. Obviously, you know Sam. Look at this. A gay club.
That's amazing.
It's the Bullet Club, but how cool! I didn't even know that was a thing.
That's really cool.
Just to clarify for the audience, it's GAHY.
GAHY, the GAHY club. But I like to call it the gay club.
So I'm gonna get that t-shirt, and if anybody asks what that is, before I tell them it's Give Me a Hell Yeah, I'm gonna go, it's the gay club.
No, it's good. Emma's bought me a stir fry. How cool is this?
Oh,
Haven't you-
Friday night.
yeah.
just
Nice.
bought me a Mackie, so I'm loving it.
Thanks, love.
While Dom tucks into his stir fry, Sam, AEW, going back to the beginning, when did you start picking up into AEW? When
Day
was your
one,
first
mate.
kind of like foray into AEW? Was it back in 2019 when it started, or was it a little bit later on? Because it's one of those things I think it's quite difficult in the UK to get a hold of unless you were like in, going on Fight, or you were kind of very in on the social. So where did your kind of fandom start for AEW?
Well, for starters, because it's AEW's on ITV in the UK, believe it or not, I'm going to disagree. I get a lot of people coming to me going, "Oh, I saw the wrestling advertised on TV the other day." Like people I know who know what I do. And they'll go, "Oh, it's great that it's on ITV now. It means I can watch it." Now, they think they're talking about WWE.
Yeah.
They don't know they're talking about AEW. But but the message is getting out there, is what I'm saying. So, and I think it has won over a lot of fans in the UK that way, because, I've had family members watching it and gone, "Oh, that Jungle Boy was good," or that da-da-da. So it is getting over slightly. But yeah, I was a big Ring of Honor guy in 2018, 2019, all like a few years ago. So I followed the development of AEW. I remember waking up to the news that they had filed trademarks and Cody was going for secret lunches with Tony Khan. And Kenny Omega was on his way out of New Japan. I've been here since the very beginning, followed every single little thing. And then I've watched every show from the very beginning. I watched All In and bounced up and down on my chair, because the first All In, because I loved it so much. I loved what it represented. When Jericho turned up and started smacking Omega, I was like, "Oh, this is something special is happening." And then when they announced All Elite Wrestling, I was excited. The only thing I didn't like is I felt like it gutted Ring of Honor overnight, but that's had a happy ending, so it's okay. But yeah, since day one, mate, AEW, before day one, and I've not missed an episode of Dynamite ever since.
Yeah, I love AEW. I've gone in and out of. I'm having the same response to WWE at the moment that I had to AEW. I was really into it first. Darby Allin is amazing. I love Darby. I love Darby's work. Obviously, I'm a big fan, just like you, Sporsy, of like guys like Adam Cole, but obviously more recent acquisitions. At the beginning, it was Darby, and it was that character work that was great. And Darby still remained. For me, a constant, but that's because Darby he appeals to. I understand why he's still there. He appeals to young people. He is the alternative. He is what Jeff Hardy was for our generation. So that is why he exists in that. But there's not much else of that. There's not much other. Jungle Boy is now Jack Perry because, of course, he has that lineage and he has that. He has he has the movie star good looks. He's a very talented lad. I'm sure he'll be in Hollywood sooner rather than later. But I loved characters like Abaddon, and Abaddon doesn't exist anymore. The Matt Hardy gimmick I loved. The Dark Order I loved. Where's the Dark Order?
Abaddon's still going, mate.
Yeah, but not to the level they were. I understand that's to do, the tragic loss of Brody Lee has a lot to do with that, and I understand that. But I get that Tony Khan's trying to be trying to be the alternative, the wrestling show. But for God's sake, Impact can do both. And Impact doesn't get the flowers it deserves. Impact can do both. If Impact can do both, then WWE can do both, and crucially, AEW can do both. My gripe with AEW is it takes itself too seriously. Tony Khan takes it too seriously. And when I say that, I don't mean from a management perspective, because I don't think he takes that seriously enough. I think he's very concerned with again, and I want to be clear here in case anybody who has gifted us wonderful opportunities with AEW's talent in terms of interviews is here. I'm very grateful for that, and AEW have been very, very kind in that respect. But in terms of me as a fan, because there's two things, me as a wrestling journalist isn't talking here on Wrestling Royalty. I'm talking to you as a fan. If we were, in a journalistic standpoint, we'll have a different conversation. I think that what AEW have done has been incredible from building a business from the ground up. It's been fantastic. But as a you know, and I can go into great detail about how much respect I have, even still with all of Tony Khan and the Khan family's resources to do what they have done has been exceptional. But as a fan, it doesn't grab me. You know, like I love watching wrestling and I love good wrestling matches, but like, you know, I want to be like I want it to be something I can just get lost in it. Does that make sense? And I can't get lost in AEW. Like,
yeah, no, it does make sense. Because especially when you compare that to the WWE product that they've got, and like over however many decades now, they've always presented larger than life characters.
Yes.
And you kind of fall in love with the characters, and the wrestling becomes part of that. So I definitely get that.
I mean, I've been conditioned, Sposy. I've been conditioned that way. Whereas Anthony left wrestling because it was too silly. Came back, and when AEW came on, he got his bits out. When Tony Khan got on the screen, he had a good little explosion. That's what he does. You know, he loves it, right? He loves it because it's wrestling. It's pure wrestling, and he loves that. And he'll tell you all day how great Tony Khan is. And again, from a business standpoint, cracking work. I couldn't do that. I don't know many people that could build a business as successful as AEW has become. But from an entertainment standpoint, am I going to sit in Wembley and be enamored to the same level that I was with the spectacle? Not necessarily all the action, the spectacle of WrestleMania. I don't know, but that remains to be seen. It remains to be seen. I've kind of trailed off. I'm very, very happy that AEW sold the tickets it has, and will continue to do so. From a wrestling fan standpoint, that's a wonderful thing. But for me, I need characters. I need, you Impact. You have Rosemary, but then you also have Moose, and I need a balance of both. Like I can't I can't just have characters. I need wrestlers too. But the problem is AEW is just serious wrestling, blood and all this stuff. But it's like, oh my god, it's so hardcore and serious and intense, But where's the wonderful walking zombie gone, Andy? Where's the zombie gone?
So basically, from what you're saying, I think it's worth having a brief discussion before we get into where we are with Wembley Stadium and All In. Part of my reticence, I guess, to get on board with AEW, and I have tried multiple times to kind of get into it, and there's always been something that I couldn't quite click with. And for me, it's been the feeling, and I think I spoke to Sam about this in LA on the way across from NXT, is it's always felt like a bit of an insider's club, that you need to know what's going on in terms of like, hey, do you remember this thing that they did in New Japan like 20 years ago?
Dude, that's it. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You just put it more succinctly than I could. Carry on. That's it. That's it.
And that kind of club is very off-putting to try and either work your way into, or to try and understand where you feel like you've been dropped halfway through a story, but it's not really a story. It's just a kind of like a history of matches that's happened. And it's very difficult to kind of hurdle that barrier in some respects. And I think that's where, by the sound of it, it's not just me. I can appreciate a very good match. And I think they do put on very good matches. And this is the thing, over the, maybe not so much in the Triple H era and NXT Black and Gold era, matches, very good matches, have now become more commonplace in WWE. And character work has started to shift away. You get the odd one or two, and they really lean into that, such as your Bray Wyatts, etc. Then you have people like Impact, who actually do things very well in the ring. They do things very well character-wise, but they don't have the spectacle side. So basically what we end up having is 3 different promotions that are very good at all different things. Some of them very good at 2 things, but not the final thing. So with AEW, their problem has been they need to be more accessible. That being said, incredible, they have managed to sell, which I think at the last tweet was 60,000 tickets for their first ever show away from North America. Again, I'll just repeat that, 60,000 tickets for your first show outside of your home continent. That is mind-blowing. And I will freely admit, I had them down as doing 60,000 and no more. So anything that they do from now on, I think, is much more than I ever thought they would do. So
Yeah,
you've got to congratulate them on that. As you say, the
Oh.
business side of thing, well done, because they've done the exact opposite of WWE. WWE probably could have sold a Wembley show out, but decided to go to the O2 Arena. So there's some very strange decisions that people just didn't understand. But you've got to say, hats off, Tony Khan and AEW took a gamble and absolutely smashed it. So
yeah.
you guys, I'd like to hear what you think about when you hear that figure of 60,000 tickets being sold so far. And let's face it, we are only on day one of general sale. What was the first reaction that you thought? I know, Sam, you just said there, you said that you thought they would. So what kind of basis did you have? Were you kind of having that on?
Yeah, so a few things. For starters, I'm not as dumb as I look. I do have a basic understanding of business and how these things are done. Secondly, they wouldn't have done this if they weren't confident in it. They just wouldn't have done it. These guys have analysts. They have the stadium themselves. They have all these metrics, and crucially, the thing that they did to sell tickets is they made them affordable. They didn't take the mickey like WWE have done a little bit. Like Clash of the Castle was affordable. It was expensive, but we expected it to be relatively expensive. It was okay. Didn't completely ruin me. But I'm looking at Money in the Bank, and wow, like that stuff's crazy. Like, you know,
I've when I bought my ticket, on that point, my ticket to Money in the Bank for Friday and Saturday as a combo ticket cost me more than my tickets for both nights at WrestleMania.
that's flipping incredible. But it's like AEW, like even if something goes wrong and we don't get press, I'm just going to buy a ticket. I'm just going to buy it. I'm not even going to think about it. I'm just going to go, buy. Because it's not a Mickey take. It's not like, don't get me wrong. Like if I was to, like, if we don't get press to go to Money in the Bank, I'd be a little bit more hesitant on buying a ticket. I'd be like, look at that price. Do I not? But AEW, either way, I'm going because of that, and that's it. They've realized, look, we've got a big stadium. It's not so much about making a profit selling tickets. It's about nailing it. It's about nailing it, getting this right, and putting ourselves on the map. And not only are we doing our first stadium show, we're doing it outside of North America. And so not only did they do their homework, everybody just wanted them to fail. That's what it was. People thought, look at them. But the fact is, they're run by billionaires. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot going for them. Yeah, they've made mistakes, and it's not a perfect product, but no wrestling company ever has been or will be. But I think I'm excited about AEW again. There are some dynamites that I don't feel, others I adore. But I can say the same thing about Raw and SmackDown. Like, watch me every Friday on Give Me a Whole Yeah, and you'll see the SmackDowns I love and the SmackDowns I really don't. So same with Dom. But it's like, of course they were going to do all right. Of course they were.
Well,
That's why I was quite confident.
You can do all right, and then you can sell 60,000 plus tickets. So, like, all right would be underserving it. And then just
I'm being polite. I'm being externally modest.
Linda on Facebook, hi, thanks for joining us. She's commented, if I want storylines, I'll watch Young and the Restless. So,
nah, mate. Storylines are part of all of wrestling, always have been.
I think there's, like I say, excellent business acumen, whatever. Because I really don't. My real issue with Tony Khan is that he shouldn't be overworking himself. He's doing too many things. He's booking shows. He's doing too many things, and he's people make various jokes about how he's doing that and what he's using to do it. But whatever you believe,
you're going to get us kicked off the press.
He's overworking himself, is what I'm trying to say. I'm talking about health. I'm talking about mental health.
Agreed.
Mental and physical health is paramount, and I think Tony Khan overworks himself, and sometimes that can really play havoc with shows.
Yeah.
I think he needs to be, delegating more personally, and that's me as a fan talking. But from a business, like I say, from a business standpoint, you can't argue with the guy's success. Selling 60,000 tickets is no small feat. You know, it takes people years to get that kind of a following, decades even, you know. And so for Tony Khan to do that is a testament to his work ethic and that tireless work ethic that could be, I believe, like I say, going back to my point, could be better used in other, you know, like I say, instead of booking everything, put your energy into other things, outreach stuff, you know, like, because that I think AEW could do really well at, the stuff that they've sort of tentatively tried. Their outreach stuff could be big, and I'd like to see Tony Khan put more effort into that, you know, side of things, because, like I say, I think he has a real mind for wrestling. But the argument I will always make is that should a wrestling fan be running a wrestling company, and that is a much deeper argument. I'll counter myself a little bit and I'll say yes, but you have to delegate, and my issue is Tony Khan isn't delegating. Tony Khan's a wrestling fan running a wrestling company who wants to do everything because he's so excited about it, which is mint, but not practical. But we may see that down the line. But my point is, I'm not sure it's cancelled out by those 60,000 people, but you know, certainly you can't argue with it. You can't argue with that success. You can't argue with that that this will go down in history as one of the biggest wrestling events, well, in history, and that's incredible. That's incredible for AEW. My gripes are all fan gripes that, you know, you can go on wrestling Twitter and see. So, you know, I don't want to go too deep into them.
Well, to back you up, Dom, like there's a symptom of that has actually played out this week in the cancellation of Elevation and Dark. Now, it might not be forever, but what's happening there is he's bought Ring of Honor. He's got this third show, as far as we know, in the pipeline. It looks like that's true. Now, Elevation and like when Dark, there needs to be more bookers in AEW. Perhaps a booker for every almost brand. Like, it's fair enough if Tony wants to do Dynamite and Rampage. That's cool. But when it came to Dark and Elevation, the promise of Dark was it was going to be the Dark matches, the live shows that you don't see. And it was going to give some context to the mid-card. A little bit like WWE's main event, formerly known as Heat show. You know what I mean? And it wasn't that. And you'll have seen me ranting about 50 times about Dark on Twitter, like it needs to be what it promised to be. And then they did Elevation, which they said was going to feature a lot of new, like the undercard and things like that. But both the Elevation and Dark just became job matches with the mid-card that were pointless viewing, no storyline, no nothing. And the shows got themselves... And like, I'm a big fan who'll watch everything AEW puts out. And even I was fast-forwarding those entire shows to the point where I'd sit down to watch a 45-minute show and I watched about 5 minutes of it because it was pointless viewing. So I think if Tony Khan had an external booker who could have focused on those shows and delegated to them, it could have been better. And I'm now fearful for Ring of Honor, that Ring of Honor might just pick up, like they've got all these titles, but I'm terrified they might just become Dark 2.0. And for Ring of Honor, it shouldn't be the same flavour as AEW. Ring of Honor and AEW are two very... Like, I get he owns them both, and that's great, and I'm actually happy about that. But Ring of Honor needs its own booker and its own unique flavour. Tony, delegate. For the love of God, please.
Delegate. You know, Andy, you know, you're hosting this. Like, you know, we're sitting here and we're kind of, you know, griping, but while trying to pay respect to what has occurred. Do you get where we're coming from, or do we come across as bitter fans?
I do, but the thing is, if you were talking about a brand, you know, if WWE and they did this for Clash of the Castle came across, and people do a video like this, and they talk about how Clash of Castle was going to be booked, and is Triple H booking the right things on Raw and SmackDown, it's the same thing. And it's kind of a compliment in some ways because you just want the product to be better. That's where the kind of the gripe comes from, because the worst thing that can happen for AEW is no one talks about it. Yes, you can sell a lot of tickets, but if the buzz isn't there, then people, that the general and the kind of casual fans, which is really who AEW has to now, they've proven that they have a diehard fan base. What they now need to do is tap into what would make the casual fan come and watch us. Is that a YouTube freely accessible show? possibly.
Oh.
Or is it a case of, because again, there's going to be a slight issue with the case of, is Ring of Honor a household name away from wrestling diehards? I'm not convinced on that. But I do want to kind of just make sure that anyone who's watching, there are a few people in tonight, and we've had a few more join. So good evening to Martin, who said 71,000 tickets sold as of this evening. I've not seen that figure, which is interesting, because I think, is it WrestleTix? They're normally quite spot on. They 3 hours ago, so they said it was about 60,000, and they were only Wembley's only opened about 66,000. So if that's true, then great. But I haven't seen it, so if you can kind of post any link as to where we could see that verified, would be cool.
What's the capacity? Sorry, Andy. What's the capacity of Wembley?
Well, Wembley normally for like a boxing event can go to about 90,000. So we're not.
They could extend it. They could.
100%. From what
Yeah.
they've seen, there are, like, I think it's on Hardcam side, haven't opened up all the blocks, so there is still a few thousand easily, like probably tens of thousands that they could open, and I guess they could probably extend the floor seating if they can do, which I'm sure they will. They will try and pack that stadium out as long as the demand is there. They will pack it out, I'm sure. So we've got a couple of other ones. Jack, do you think we're getting something from AJ Lee? We'll wait. We are going to kind of go into the booking side of All In and what Dom and Sam would like to see, and even me as a kind of casual viewer, who I would like to be involved. Besides All In tickets, how are they going to make CM Punk and the Elite share a locker room in Wembley?
Money.
Yeah, I'm sure throwing money, that would help.
Bang their heads together and tell them to be grown-ups. That's what they need to bloody do.
Who will be Jamie Hayter's opponent at Wembley? Mercedes Moné or local London woman wrestler? It sounds like we're going to have to go into discussion about booking in a second as well. Is the plan for Wardlow and Goldberg versus Luchasaurus and Christian at Wembley? Because it seems like it is Goldberg in AEW. Does anyone else want to see that?
Not really, but it'll sell some tickets to casual fans.
It's another big name to throw in there. The obvious opponent for Hayter at All In is Saraya, formerly known as Paige, to anyone who isn't kind of au fait with AEW.
Yeah, I would have said that, yeah.
Is Orange Cassidy defending his international belt at Wembley? Local talent or someone who's the top UK London free agent, someone like Mark Andrews, a UK talent currently not attached. You do have Pac. I guess there's opportunities to bring, who knows, maybe Will Ospreay in. I'm sure he's going to want to be involved if he can be.
Ospreay's about to face Cardona in Lincoln, isn't he? I'm very excited. I'm excited about that one.
My old stomping ground of Lincoln, for 1PW. So cheers, Martin. Thank you for looking into that info. 94,000 is the capacity. Apparently, the entire stadium is now open for sales. So if that is true, and all tickets hit, we'll be, we're in the final straight of seeing how many they can sell. And I think they're already outstripping what the vast majority of social media thought they would do. Jack says the capacity for boxing is about 94,000. So be interesting to see what they could do, which lines up with what Martin said as well. There's a few comments there basically talking about how they're going to book the show. They are going to have a big crowd that is well established, as we've talked about, and that crowd is going to be full of people who follow AEW weekly, nightly, every show. It's also going to be full of people who just want to be part of a wrestling event. It's also going to be full of people who just want to be at Wembley Stadium and be part of any event. So how do you book a show? Because I'm very aware that there's a lot of people who criticize AEW for having too long a pay-per-view. So if you're kind of thinking they'll put on a 3 or 4 hour show, bearing in mind, as a stadium and Wembley, they will have a hard curfew that they have to stick to because people have to get transport, and London doesn't finds people a lot of money for running over curfew at Wembley. So Tony's going to either have to start a very early show, which I think the tickets have already got quite a late start on it, or he's going to have to cram a lot of matches in, or make it a succinct card. So if I ask you both, and I want to ask everyone in the comments as well to let me know, if you were picking 2 matches to book at All In, what are you booking? 2 matches.
I'm booking Punk and FTR versus the Bucks and Omega. and I'm booking MJF versus. I'm not trying to. Oh yeah, no, I've only got 2, haven't I? 2 matches to book. So yeah, Saraya versus Hater, I think is your UK banger of a main event or a co-main event. The Hardys, I think, are going to be on that card. The Hardys versus the Acclaimed for the tag titles, something like that. The Hardys get their one and only tag championship at Wembley. You know, one and only AEW tag championship. They win it at Wembley. That could be cool. There's no better time to do it, even if they were to lose it the next week or the next month. It would be one hell of a news story. Yeah, so those would be my 3. The Hardys versus the Acclaim for the tag titles. Are they the Acclaim champions now again? Is the Gun Club still champions, or did they lose it? They lost it, didn't they?
It's who is it now? It's FTR are the champs. Tag champs.
Oh, there you go. Oh yeah, well I can't have. Okay, no. Yeah, I'm still going FTR versus. Oh no. I'm going to change it up. FTR versus the Hardys. Yeah. Punk versus Omega. Yeah. This is. I'm getting a semi on right now. Punk versus Omega. FTR versus the Hardys, and MJF versus. And he's going to lose it here. So I need to think carefully about this. No, he's
not.
Either Jungle Boy or Darby. Yeah.
I lost track of how many matches that actually was.
Three matches. 3 matches. I booked 3. I booked 4.
Love it.
4 if you count the one that I cancelled, so I could have FTR versus the Hardys in a ladder match.
Can you top that? What's your 2 dream matches that you wanted to see at All In?
You can have a bonus one because I had 3.
Well. Oh, all right. Oh, thanks, boss. See, I'm thinking like, look, to fix everything. Like, part of me wants to say MJF versus somebody, but here's the problem I've got. I don't know, because we've still got Double or Nothing coming up before that. So we're not even building to this pay-per-view yet. We're building to the next one. There's 2 before it's Forbidden. I know Forbidden Door is a bit of a Survivor Series kind of event, because it's going to be like everything is paused a little bit so New Japan can fight AEW. Okay, cool. But they're still building to 2 major pay-per-views before they build for this one. So I don't know where MJF is going to be at that point. So I'm going to hold out on seeing who they book for MJF. For me, the 2 matches that need to happen for the company to heal, and because the world is clamoring for it, is Omega versus Punk, FTR versus the Bucks. Those are the 2 matches they absolutely need to do, and they can't do them at Double or Nothing because it's too soon. They're not going to bother doing them at what's it called? Forbidden Door, because there's New Japan connection to deal with. But after that, this. Now, they could spin the wheels and do that at Full Gear, but this is the stadium show, boys. Squash the beef. Do it here. New beginning.
Yeah, that's good. I prefer your booking because you're right. The Bucks versus the FTR is the other money match, isn't it? I just really want to see Darby beat MJF.
I'm just going to respond to Motor Talk Wrestling. He says, you know, this dude is smoking real good weed right now. I wish, mate. I wish. But look, I'm. You got to remember that I'm fantasy booking here. I'm not telling you what I think will happen. I'm telling you what ain't none of that happening. Okay, it's a good job I haven't got the ban button, mate. It's a good job we're on Andy's show right now. But because I'll do it. I'm like Dom when someone insults Bray Wyatt. I'm ban happy. But
I've never banned anyone, and I did it once for comedy value. But I've never banned anyone.
I only do it for comedy value too.
For having a difference of opinion, Sam. That's a terrible. That's an abuse. That's an abuse of podcast power. You wouldn't catch Andy Ford doing that on Wrestling Royalty. You wouldn't catch him shutting anybody down, taking anybody off screen.
No, as long as people aren't swearing and they're allowed their opinions and crack on, and I want to hear them. I want to hear what matches Come on, Motor Talk Wrestling, put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, mate. Come on, let's hear you.
What are you doing? And for me, if I was asked, and this is purely because I'm just a huge fan, I want to see Adam Cole versus MJF for the title at Wembley, because I think you've got Adam Cole in the kind of versus Chris Jericho at the moment. I don't see that being massively drawn out. I think that's a case of he needs to kind of get this done. They've got Double or Nothing, get that out of the way there and kind of stretch out till then. And then afterwards, let Adam Cole be the star that he can be, because anyone who watched NXT knows how he can like kind of hold a promotion up and be the face of promotion. He absolutely can do. He's had a rough time of it with his concussions that are going on. He's a lovely guy. I was thrilled to meet him, and I was thrilled to know last week how much of a nice guy he actually is. So I would love to see Adam Cole versus MJF as a main event. I get where you're coming from. FTR and CM Punk versus Omega and the Bucks would be a match that is going to get everyone talking, whether we get that or not, because it does seem there is legitimate beef there. I'm not sure. Outside of that, I'm a huge Pac fan. I'm a huge Malachi Black fan. So I'd like to see a prominent spot for the trios. So if Adam Cole's not going for it, I'd love to see a sort of Undisputed Era versus is it House of Black, isn't it?
That'd be amazing. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
So there's loads of cool stuff going on. I'm sure they'll bring in a few kind of imports from other places, whether it's the indie scene, whether it's New Japan. And hey, I'm sure if they can do it, they do love a good debut. If there's anyone like someone like Drew McIntyre, if I don't know when his contract does run out, if it does happen to tie in, I'm sure they would love to get him in, or anyone else who's kind of currently unattached. So there's so much scope, but I do want to hear what anyone else has got to say. Motor Talk, Kyle O'Reilly, I believe, is coming back fairly soon. But Kyle O'Reilly coming back and getting back with Roderick Strong and Adam Cole will be cool. It's just a shame Bobby Fish is already kind of out of the company, and he is in Impact doing his thing in Impact at the moment.
Is he? I think he was for a bit. I don't think he is now.
He was still there.
Mate, nah. Speaking of Impact, though, and just to pick up something we said earlier about if Impact do one of these UK shows, if you go on WrestleSphere, ladies and gentlemen, and watch my interview with Eddie Edwards, Eddie hints, doesn't tell me too much. I do press him, but he doesn't tell me too much. Hints that there are rumblings of Impact, probably not selling out a big stadium, but Impact planning a UK tour or a big UK event.
Yeah.
Impact, if you're listening, and I tried getting it out of Josh Alexander as well, but he wasn't talking. He wasn't giving him anything.
People forget, man.
Yeah,
Impact have a great reputation over here. Their UK press team is better than a lot of other UK press teams. They are on it over here, and they have had successful live events for years. Years ago, the TNA Impact years, they were selling out UK shows, and people forget that. It wasn't Wembley size, but they were doing Manchester they were doing bigger than academy shows. They were doing certainly big level, thousands and thousands of people. So it's not impossible. And if 1PW can do well, and then certainly Impact can come over and do well if they have a few stars, bring back Grado, in Impact, and they do fine. I do want to. I missed my opportunity because I was being respectful of the comment, but and the discussion around Adam Cole, Bebe, and Malachi Black and people like that. I did want to take a moment to plug my interview with Malachi Black, which you can find over on Soundsphere.
Where are we moving that to, Dom? Where are we moving that interview?
We're moving some interviews to WrestleSphere, but we're focusing on predominantly brand new interviews, which we do have on there, don't we, Sam? We do have brand new interviews.
I do want to say on that, by the way, Dom, I very much enjoyed reading a very, very recent one which I believe, which Sam was interviewing Mike Speedball Bailey, wasn't he?
Thank you. There we go.
That was a great interview. I very much enjoyed reading that.
Thank you, mate.
From a great talent. But yeah, as you say, the thing is, this selling out Wembley Stadium, I'm sure would empower a lot of other promotions to go, well, there's an appetite for it in the UK and in Europe. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if they was come across. And let's face it, even New Japan have been getting on the action for the last few years anyway. They've been doing their is it UK Quest or something that they've done a few times?
Royal Quest,
that's
Quest,
it.
I believe. Yeah,
it's halfway there. But yeah, so yeah, some great suggestions. And I think, as you say, we've got a little bit of a way to go. Let's face it, they do have some other events to kind of get through, which I'm sure will then build into a lot of anticipation through July. You've also got the whole women's roster that's going on across. Would we see a big title change off of like Jade, who's had the title a long time now, and it's been a long time coming? Maybe they'll wait for a platform like that to kind of change the title. There's an opportunity there if they're going to go through that for Jade Charlotte, as Motor Talk Wrestling mentions there. But then, yes, everything. Yeah, okay, yeah. Everything's not been great in the women's division AEW, but there are still, people need to remember this is a company that's only 4 years old technically.
Yes.
And they are still growing, and this shows the growth that's there and the potential that's there. And WWE, who's been around for decades and decades and decades, still doesn't get everything right. So we can't even pretend that like it's all sunshine and rainbows on any promotion. So yeah, that's its own thing. But as I say, I think everyone will be vying for a spot. I think it will be a bit of a shorter card than we're used to for AEW when we get there. But there's a lot of great stuff going on, and I'm kind of glad that we had this chance to discuss AEW. It would be remiss of me to not mention that there is another big wrestling situation going on, which is WWE are currently in Puerto Rico. And I think it would just be good just to kind of have a few moments to talk about expectations for Backlash, which I know you guys are going to be covering as well. Yes. Moving away from AEW and carry on with the AEW comments, I'm absolutely fine. We will kind of come back to any that catch our eye and come through. But very keen just to kind of say, what are your thoughts heading into Backlash and SmackDown live in San Juan, Puerto Rico?
Well, I'm particularly excited for. Well, actually, no. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be here right now, right here, right now with you guys. That is what I'm excited about, because I've enjoyed talking about AEW stuff, and I also want to say to Motor Talk Wrestling, if you don't watch it enough, Impact Wrestling, please go and watch Impact Wrestling, because they have the best women's division in wrestling, bar none, and have had for the last 5 to 10 years. Don't you please go and watch? Watch half.
One of their comments said Impact Wrestling is amazing. The number one roster who does amazing promos and matches. Impact Wrestling got hard work talents, got direction. The AEW roster, however, is very mixed and confusing. So
this is becoming the Motor Talk Wrestling show.
I think they're a big fan of it. So yeah,
absolutely.
They're also saying Backlash is going to be great. So Sam, are you going to agree with?
Hang on. I wasn't done. Sorry, Motor Talk Wrestling, right? I apologize. I missed your comment. I'm with you in agreement with our Impact. Just wonderful. We're going to do some more Impact streams, hopefully on Give Me a Hull. Yeah, so come and hang out with us. Really appreciate your comments. In terms of Backlash, I'm not really looking forward to it. I'm mostly looking forward to hanging out with Sam and hopefully Kinney as well. If you want to join us, you can do. Sposy, of course, the door is always open. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hanging out. WWE pay-per-views. This is a B level, really, leading up to Money in the Bank, leading up to obviously post-draft. Really, we could see some cool stuff. We could see some cool things, and I hope we do see something interesting. My hope is that there's probably about as much chance of this as me, shaving my testicles. But I'd like to.
Of all the things he could have said,
I'd like to think that Bray Wyatt would come back and Uncle Howdy would come back. That's what I want. I'd like to think that someone that's been drafted will be featured prominently. JD McDonough, perhaps, who's rumored to be joining Judgment Day. Which would be interesting because JD McDonough's amazing. He's probably my favorite draft pick that they did, aside from Isla Dawn, who I also interviewed. Go and check that out over on Soundsbay. Isla Dawn and Kaylee Ray, who is now not Kaylee Ray, but you know what I mean. I think they're great. I'd like to see them get involved in something at Backlash. Maybe some of the draft picks that would excite me. Some of the new fresh blood coming into battle at Backlash. That would save it for me because honestly, I'm not that excited about it at this time. And I'm also glad I'm also glad that Andy set this up at 8:30 so that we could all have a nice bedtime because I'm excited to with all respect to our podcast, I'm excited to not be doing SmackDown and be doing Backlash tomorrow. So thank you, Andy, for setting this up. It's always a pleasure. I love that you want to have us come and talk, despite your search for views and ratings and hits, you decide to have us on. So I'm just gonna say I appreciate it. I'm very, very, very pleased and proud to be here, and hopefully Backlash will be good. Come check it out and give me a whole yeah. Go watch Impact Wrestling and please do support Wrestling Royalty.
I mean, we're not finishing, but Dom's.
I was going to say that was like a sign off.
I was getting my I'm really swift. I've got my pants off. I've got my boxers off. I'm ready for bed.
Just going to cut across Dom. Thoughts on Backlash? Let's save us.
I'm dying. He's feeling it again. Even the comments are like, "Oh, thanks, guys. See you soon." He's like, "No,
I'm feeling something. I'm feeling something right now."
There you go. So look, we were all at Mania this year. We were all there in the crowd watching. And
Were we?
Have we not talked about that, Dom? Have we not talked about that? Yeah, I'm fairly sure we have it to nauseum. And just look at Twitter, all the awesome pictures we took on Twitter and all the food we had. Oh, it was great. Anyway, but there was a feeling of deflation when Cody didn't win. And Dom and I were especially disappointed with Bray not turning up and Lashley not getting the match. And so even though we had a great week, we had a wonderful time in LA, there was a little bit of a dark cloud over that angle of it. And the only reason we feel that is because we care. Now, Backlash, I am. There's some good stuff on there, but I've got a real worry. Now, that match with Brock Lesnar and Cody could go two ways. It could either be Finn Balor versus Lesnar, AJ Styles versus Lesnar, Danielson versus Lesnar. Who else put on a wicked showing? Seth Rollins versus Lesnar. Or it can be this: Rey Mysterio, Ricochet, Kofi Kingston, Samoa Joe. It could be a complete burial that lasts 30 seconds, or it could be a classic like the one Balor put on with him, like AJ Danielson. I'm really hoping it's the former, and we get a war, and Brock tries. And even if Cody loses, which will bury him severely, we get a good match, a really good match. What we should have got at Mania, we got a daft showcase between him and Omos at Mania. It was fun to watch, and Dom and I won some money on that match. Not a lot, but we did. And it was like when Lesnar puts on a good, like at SummerSlam, great match, really good, like good spectacle, good wrestling, good everything. Completely ridiculous. But so when Brock does well, he does very well, and the same goes for Cody. And I really hope they don't screw us with that match. That's my main fear. Like, I'm confident we're going to see Bray Wyatt again in a little while. I don't think it's going to be Backlash, but he's coming back, mate. It's all going to be okay. He is coming back. There's a lot. Is
it Sam? Is it going to be okay?
I think, I hope, I have faith that we'll see Bray again and things will be good. I do.
I've also seen John's comment that Brock has to squash Cody because he's doing the hard time story. No, Cody has to beat Brock.
But it can be a squash. It can be a squash and a good squash. Like, you're right, they are doing the hard times thing. But here's the thing: It's like you can do the hard time story without absolutely making the member of the Rhodes family look like a chump, because Dusty didn't look like a chump. It got the crowd behind him. It created heat for the heel, and it made the babyface more of a babyface. You can do hard times well. There's a reason we remember hard times. There's a reason we do, and it's because they did it well. So far, this Cody thing hasn't really been going well since WrestleMania Raw. Sorry. Although
So
it was
hold on. Here's a question for you. The Hard Times promo. Do you remember A, the match that followed and who it was against? And B, do you remember how that match finished?
Oh, tip of my tongue. I can see his face. What's his name? I need more caffeine. I've forgotten his...
It's Ric Flair.
Oh. See, I thought, didn't he wrestle somebody before Ric Flair? Wasn't it?
So the Hard Times promo is aimed at Ric Flair because Ric Flair dropped that line in, and that's the whole reason why he mentions about hard times, and you don't know what hard times are, and kind of going down that, and that's where the kind of like the American Dream came in. We are getting a few comments through, and I want to make sure that it is covered, because the match Cody and Brock, I think you're right, they could go one of two ways. They either put on a 15-minute banger where Cody and Brock prove that they can both go, and it's more on Brock's side. They've very deliberately tried to keep them apart since that kind of the beatdown on the night after WrestleMania, and it's very much a case of let's put as many security guards as possible in between. So when it goes, I think it's going to go. But the other way it could go, as John's kind of mentioned, is there's a beatdown happening very, very quickly. But I think somewhere in the middle, I think Cody's going to win it personally after a fairly long match by Brock Lesnar standards. And I think Brock might then beat him down afterwards. I think that's a possibility that could happen and would maybe make sense. But the other name that's been mentioned a few times, and I know As Yet Untitled mentioned, is there likely to be any title change hands? And Io Sky has been mentioned by Motor Talk Wrestling. Genuinely can see Io Sky winning that match against Bianca. I wouldn't be shocked, because I think the way they've kind of been playing this, I think Io Sky is very much ready to break away from Damage Control, or kind of be more of a wrestler and less of a tag team. And they had the match on Raw where Bayley and Dakota got the win over the tag champ. So yeah, absolutely could see that happening. And I wouldn't begrudge it, because I think Io is a great wrestler who showed some great moments on NXT. Dom, you look like you had something to say.
Yeah. It's an interesting point. I don't think Io is the one, since everybody's been beaten by Bianca. I think we see a Bianca heel turn somewhere down the line, and then one of the faces takes the championship. I don't think it's Io's. I would love it to be. I see the love in the comments for Io or Io, and I see, you guys believe in Io, and certainly I do too. And I certainly believe Io Sky, or Io Sky, however you want to call it, Io deserves the championship somewhere down the line, but it's just not here. Bianca is the bulldozing champion, the Roman Reigns, effectively, of the women's division. Bianca's had an equally dominant run, and not quite so many days, but certainly an equally dominant in terms of just bulldozing through people. So, and I don't think that's going to continue, really. I think that's going to continue past Backlash into Money in the Bank.
Don't worry, Motor Talk Wrestling. I'm well and truly in the camp. I think we all are, but Dom's just saying that there's bigger things at play, and maybe it's not right now, I think, is the answer.
Yeah, absolutely not right now. Absolutely.
I will just say, just on that point, sorry guys, just quickly before we move on with the Io Sky thing, I love the idea of Bayley getting jealous of her. Maybe the crowd get behind her. Bayley gets jealous of her, and then let's say Bayley wins a title down the line. I love the idea of Io being the one to take that off Bayley, a bigger show. So I think what they need to do is build towards Io being a babyface, a badass. Because remember when they turned her heel on NXT? She went from the sweet smiling girl to the Joshi Judas, and that was a wicked gimmick. And like they could, but because she was so over, they couldn't keep her as a heel. They had to make her some kind of anti-hero face.
They gave us some really cool entrance music as well, which is always a risky game for them. Yeah.
See, that is what I want to see happen again. That, you know, like there's so much potential with Io Sky. I agree, but now let's build her quietly. And I'm still furious Asuka didn't win at WrestleMania, and my blood is boiling as a result of thinking about that again.
Well, let's move on quickly. I think there's not much point talking about Rhea Ripley versus Lena Vega. I think that will be what everyone else is saying Brock Lesnar could do. I think that'll be an absolute destruction.
I agree. I don't think it will be quite that black and white with Cody and Brock, but it certainly will be, unfortunately, for the very talented Lena Vega.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it will be that with Rhea Ripley. Yeah.
She might get a Hurricane Rana in, which she seems to be her kind of calling card, and I think that will probably be about it. Elsewhere, I think we've got I guess there's two possible main events before we go into that. There's a US title, a triple threat match, which I think could be a great match. Got Austin Theory is going to be defending his title against Bobby Lashley, and I always want to call him his original name, which I think is Jonah Stone or something, isn't it? But
Jonah Rock.
Jonah Rock, Jonah Stone. See, I was close, but not quite.
Close, yeah.
Bronson Reed. Yeah, so Bronson Reed versus Bobby Lashley, both going for the title for the US Championship. I think this could be a great match because the match they had Bobby Lashley against Bronson Reed was just as one of everyone's favorite things to say. Big meaty men slapping meat. Then you throw in Austin Theory to the mix as well, and you've got all the ingredients for a bit of a classic there. Do you think Austin Theory is going to come out with the title, or do you think there's going to be a shock change of championship here?
That's probably the most curious one, isn't it? That is probably the most curious one. Ideally, Jonah would come out with it, but that's me as a fan. Do I think that makes sense going into another pay-per-view? No, I don't think Jonah's quite there yet. I would like him to be the champion, but I don't think he's there to the level that, say, Lashley is, and to the level that Theory is at or is getting to. I also think there's something else for Lashley to do, which is finish the story with Bray Wyatt. Talk about finishing the story. What?
And Brock? What was that? They never finished that.
That won't happen. Let it go, man. That's not happening.
The one thing I will say, by the way, for Bronson Reed is if you look at the draft, he's actually been drafted to Raw. And they have the IC title on there. So it would be very surprising for somehow the IC and the US title to end up on the same show. But I think that could be a great match.
They've been, but they put the NXT titles on. The NXT titles are coming to SmackDown. There's two champions on Raw.
One's already.
Indy Hartwell left the title, and they're going to have a tournament for the.
But the tag championships are going.
Yes, but the tag champions, they've had this before where they have called up or have had NXT tag champions go onto the main roster and then drop them a few weeks later. So it's not beyond the pale. I would imagine they'll probably have that happen at Battleground, which I believe is on the same night as Double or Nothing at the end of May. That another great night of wrestling, great weekend of wrestling. I'm not sure if that might be the same weekend as Night of Champions. So we're all eating that weekend.
It is. Wow, it's going to be a busy one.
Impact have got one of their special monthly events as well. Yes. So it's like four massive shows in one week.
We'll go head to head again, Sam.
Yeah, we have to. I don't think we have a choice. I think
we'll get the three of us on, see who wins.
So lots going on that weekend, but I just want to make sure that we're not going to go too much longer, guys, because we've got, I think, two more matches that we're just going to talk about briefly. Both of them have the potential to main event, and there is rumors that actually one of them is going to main event over the other. But we'll start with the 6-man tag match, which is kind of really it includes the only rematch from WrestleMania, which is what I guess Backlash traditionally became. Are you interested in this 6-man tag match, or do you think this is just dragging it out now?
It's dragging it out.
It's dragging it out. I mean, it's a way to showcase Riddle again. Obviously, Sami Zayn, putting Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and the Usos together on a pay-per-view, PLE, which is money. They will people's interest, but maybe even get some casual fans interested. But I'm not. Again, this is why I put that status out earlier this week, is that I've sort of seen a lot of this stuff before, and I don't want to stay up till 3-4 in the morning watching something I've seen before. And I loved the Usos, and I loved the Bloodline stuff, and it's what is it, the longest? It's got to be one of the longest running storylines, I imagine, in the history of wrestling by now. But I need to see, and brilliant. It has been brilliant, but it's time to change it up a bit. It's time to show some dissension, and it's only been teased week on week on week. And
all I'm going to say is this better be the time Solo turns on them or something happens. Otherwise, they are spinning the wheels. Because
it'll be one of the Usos before it's Solo, man.
No. What I mean is they've been teasing for weeks on Raw and SmackDown that Solo's going to attack the Usos. They've been like, they might not do it, but
on the request of Roman,
on the request of Roman. So, like, if they lose this match, surely they're done. Like, but they should have been done after they lost their rematch on Raw the other day, which should have been the match on the pay-per-view, in my opinion. They shouldn't be doing this 6-man. They should, unless John Burroughs has just said Riddle heel turn, which I don't think they're going to do. But unless they do something big storyline related, this is pointless. And I think they're only doing it as a showcase to please the Puerto Rico fans to see this live. But I really want some storyline here. I'm talking Sami Zayn turning on Roman levels storyline. Do you know, like, that was just. Like, there were flowers in the ring afterwards because petals in the ring. Like, they should have thrown more roses in the ring for that. That was just, I want that again, WWE.
So that brings us to what I do think they might go with this as the main event because of one, where it is, and two, who's involved. But for also, let's face it, we gave a lot of reasons why the tag match had to headline WrestleMania, which was because it was a hot angle, because it had a lot of steam behind it. And for all those reasons, I think Damian Priest versus Bad Bunny well and truly could main event here. There's a few different things they could do. I'm sure at some point the LWO, Rey Mysterio, is going to get involved, and Dominic Mysterio will get involved, etc. But are you excited about the prospect of seeing Bad Bunny back in a ring? Are you excited by what they've done with this? What are your thoughts on two Puerto Rican natives going head to head in a San Juan, or is San Juan street fight?
I mean, it's good. It's good marketing. People will be interested because Bad Bunny's everywhere all the time. He's a very talented lad. He's very, very much, he's very, very conscious of his brand, and he knows what he's doing. And it will. You're right. I hadn't thought about it as the main event, but there's no reason why he shouldn't be. Given where those guys are from, given their background, heritage, etc., it absolutely should main event, and I think it's very, very clever from WWE to bring this in, and all probably clever of Damian Priest and Bad Bunny to be to make it a street fight, to give you that extra bit of something, that extra je ne sais quoi. It's like it's very, very clever, and it's just goes to show how sound. The athletes and the brand, WWE brand, how switched on they are, because that, why wouldn't you have that in Puerto Rico?
Kingdom House, just in their comment there, by the way, sorry to interrupt. Where have you been? Mate, we're an hour and 13 in. We covered AEW for, I think it was about 55 minutes. And we've
just put that on the comment.
we've stuck in a little bit of WWE at the end, but it's good to have you in.
Good to see you.
If you want to rewatch it, we have a ad nauseum go through AEW and All In and expectations, and spoke quite a lot about how impressed we are and how great it is for the industry in general that they managed to sell as many tickets as they have. We're simply covering Backlash because this is a wrestling channel. We try and cover everything. We don't believe in any kind of tribalism over here. Same with the guys over at Gimme a Hole, Impact, AEW, WWE, NXT, 1PW, North all Wrestling, all of it. We love wrestling. We love wrestling.
Have you ever thought about doing audiobooks, Andy? You've got a very calming voice. Like,
we couldn't do it, could we? Because it'd just be, hey, oh.
No, we couldn't do it because we couldn't do it, but you could, because your accent isn't particularly strong, but you've just got this very soothing voice.
It's not offensive, yeah. I don't know. I've never
Can you
really
whisper for me? Can you whisper what you had for breakfast for me?
Whisper, it'll be okay. You let it happen.
What do you want me to whisper it right into?
Right into the microphone.
Like, was it AMR? Is
ASMR? That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I don't really eat breakfast. I like to fast until midday.
See, there you go. That's what I'm thinking. You know, you've got an alternative career. You've just got one of them voices.
If anyone's watching that wants an audio book doing, just send me the details across, and we'll talk figures.
But you're perfect for this. I'm so glad you're now doing live streams, because when we're here going,
speak for yourself.
Yeah, right. When we're doing all that, you're like, yes, I see what you're saying. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, if anyone was sat near me at WrestleMania, they might have seen me flip my lid when Roman won. So it is possible. And anyone who sits near me at St. James Park for the football knows very well that I can swear like anything. So I do try and keep myself a little bit neutral during these. Try and stay professional. Let you guys do all the emoting, and I like seeing that. But what I do like to see is how many different people have been in tonight. So thank you very much for spending your Friday evening with us. As always, you can see our taglines. They're not taglines. Our ats for social media. You've got at Sam Smith _1987. You've got Doms, who I hate doing because it's all a mixture. It's at lowercase d. Is that a 0 and then an
just
M?
say Dom Smith. Dom _ Smith.
I'm sure you'll find him if you type in Dom Smith.
D0M _SM1TH.
There you go. Perfect. And then you've got mine, which is at Sporsy19. As always, please subscribe to Wrestling Royalty on YouTube. Stick that notification on if you want to hear from us as soon as anything goes live. Please go and subscribe to Soundsphere. Please go and subscribe to WrestleSphere. And please go and subscribe and support, comment, like everything on Give Me a Hell Yeah. Those guys all deserve it. There's always an AEW and a Raw stream on there. And I believe tomorrow night, as I'm sure the guys, when we finish this off in a few minutes' time, will tell you there's a stream tomorrow night. If you fancy watching along on Backlash, have the guys on. You can get to listen to their banter and then lose their tops when Bray Wyatt comes back on tomorrow, and some weird Jimmy Uso shenanigans go on. All that good stuff. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us. I love seeing the comments come through. And I really appreciate all the love. As yet untitled, John Burrows, etc. Always lovely to see anyone else in. But yeah, the other thing I just wanted to kind of ask before we go, I don't know if you guys managed to catch it on either social media or live on the press conference that they had, but WWE announced, much to the ire of social media, that there's going to be a tournament for the heavyweight championship, settled by I believe it's a triple threat on Raw and a triple threat on SmackDown, or 2 on each, I think it is. And then the winners are going to fight each other, and then they're going to face each other. It's a bit of a long-winded process to get there. What are your guys' thoughts on that layout, particularly on SmackDown being involved? Because I think that's the contentious part of that announcement. What are your guys' thoughts on it?
Well, they're still doing the drafts. Go on, sorry, mate.
No, I love a good tournament. I'm fine with it. Like I say, it almost makes me want to watch SmackDown. Maybe I will watch that week. Maybe we will cover that. You know, that, like I say, that's interesting to me. I don't see how I wanted a King of the Ring, or not branded as a King of the Ring, because I still want a King and Queen of the Ring pay-per-view. But certainly that style tournament would have been cool. That's what, because they would have done that in the Attitude Era. They would have done like an eliminator tournament, everybody on the same night. They really need to retell that Jericho thing, somebody else to do that in 2023. I beat, Seth Rollins and Finn Balor on the same night or something like that. You know what I mean? That would be pretty cool. Like, so
bragging rights.
Yeah,
make a star.
That's
how they make Stone Cold.
Yeah, somebody
one
needs
of the
to
ways
do
to
that.
make Stone Cold.
Yeah, like a King of the Ring style, but we didn't get that. We're going to get a tournament. I'm okay with that. Totally fine with it. like I say, there's things I want, but I'm not booking the shows. So yeah, I'm okay with it, and I might actually watch that SmackDown. That sounds interesting. It's not this week though, is it?
No,
It's next week.
No, tonight's in Puerto Rico, so that it'll be allowed SmackDown tonight. I'm sure it'll be noteworthy. But yeah, I think the brand split comes in on Monday as well. So be interesting to see who gets put into those triple threat matches and who comes out on top. But I'm going to start wrapping things up. So if anyone's got any kind of final comments, I'd love to hear from you. As we kind of said at the top of the show, the be and all and end all of the kind of this week has shown that wrestling is in a very good place.
Yes.
We've got a lot of promotions doing very good things. We've got AEW selling a lot of tickets. Whether it's to be believed, we've got about 70,000 odd, I think people were saying now. Potentially we're going to be in Wembley, and I'm sure that number will increase as we get towards August. We've got WWE in Puerto Rico doing Backlash, and then they're going to be away in Saudi Arabia, and then they're going to be in London as well. So they're going well and truly international, there is an article that's going to be going on RussianRock.com that is going to cover that about WWE going. Sydney comment there, thanks Dom. Who is going to be going international? The fact that they're mixing things up on the draft, the fact that they're giving us a new championship. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. Impact's doing some great work. They have a lot of good in-ring work. They have a lot of characters. Go check out Joe Henry. There's so much that you can check out. And then of course, if you're in the UK or if you're in the US, please go and check out their any indie shows. That's where it all kind of starts, and they're the guys who can be on these massive shows in the future as well. So in particular, North Wrestling, Thunderstruck's coming up. It's going to be a huge show. They just announced that Joey Janela is going to be on North Wrestling as well as
Love Joey. Love Joey. That's how I got blocked by Jim Cornette, was defending Joey Janela. And
I saw those tweets the other day because Dan's got an image of him. So I've never seen him before. Yeah, Dan has got an image of those tweets.
I'd forgotten what I'd put, but I know I defended.
You were savage, and he was like both. Like, to be fair, I can see both of your points, but yeah, he needs to realize that there are different flavors of ice cream.
Exactly, that's all I was trying to say. Is like different flavors of ice cream, you know.
Yeah, that's all it is. But I think with him, there's like his flavor, and his is the best, and maybe his is the best. But every now and then, I want a little bit of, a bit of toffee is on top of my chocolate or my vanilla or my strawberry or whatever the hell. Anyway, you know what I'm laboring this analogy. I'll stop.
We get it. Thanks, John, for joining. And appreciate the comments there. Really nice hearing people who talk sense compliment each other on the show. I'm not sure that's 100% true, but I will take it anyway. But yeah,
we compliment. I compliment you, and I compliment Sam. I'm very grateful to both of you.
I meant as in talk sense. That part.
Well, I think we've talked some sense, which is better than some wrestling podcasts. I'm just saying.
That's true.
At least we're not like. At least we're not like, my opinion is the best opinion and you all need to agree with me. At least we're
already know that about mine. But I don't think John means it that way. It's John saying we pay each other compliments. I think he's saying we compliment each other as presenters.
It's a lovely comment from John. Thank you, John.
John's one of my best friends, so I know he means nothing by it. So, I really appreciate him being here.
Cheers, John.
Especially because I'm surprised in about 6 minutes he's probably going to be tucked up in bed. So I do appreciate you joining.
I'm so excited for bed.
So guys, speaking of bed, let's wrap this up. Dom, what's going on? Where can people find you? What would you like to plug? Oh, right. He's ready here.
Okay, so we got WrestleSphere. We've just put an interview out with Speedball Mike Bailey that Sam did the other week. Sam is an amazing interviewer, and we're very lucky to have him on WrestleSphere. We also have some fantastic Impact stuff coming up that I can't talk to you about yet, but I will talk to you about it shortly. Soundsphere, we do interviews every day. We do interviews pretty much every day. I just did an interview with the lead actress in the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey horror film that came out a few weeks ago. So I'll be posting that in a few weeks. I'm off to go and see RuPaul's Drag Race at Leeds Arena tomorrow. That'll be nice. And then I'm going to be straight in to watch Backlash with Sam, go and subscribe to unrelated. Go and subscribe. Well, actually related, but go and subscribe to Soundsphere. Go and subscribe to WrestleSphere. Please subscribe to Give Me a Hull, yeah, because there's not just me. Dan puts in so much effort to do Monday Night Raw each week. Anthony puts in so much effort to do AEW each week. Not as much effort as Dan because he has to do all 3 hours of Raw, but you get what I mean. And then you can also support Sam because he's going to continue SmackDown while I'm away for a little while. So please go and support Sam and do that. And yeah, I think that's it. And crucially support Andy Spores because Andy Spores is a champion and I love him. And he's got a great voice. And
Sam, what would you like to plug?
Well, I think Dom's just covered everything there. So all I was going to say is,
I want to plug something of yours.
Oh, flipping heck! You had your chance when we were shared a hotel room in LA. You had your chance.
You were with Dan. You were with Dan.
Because Dan is like
the good news is you're going to have 2 London trips. I'm sure you can plug whatever you want.
I had to be content with sniffing your shirt. You know?
Oh no, he did. He sniffed my hoodie on the way to the toilet.
I did.
I was fast asleep, and he found my WrestleSphere hoodie, which is the only one in existence right now, and gave it a good sniff, and it smelled like new hoodie. Although I'd had it on for a few days, I think at that point. I did take that hoodie off all of WrestleMania, near enough.
You did not.
Plug your Twitter. Get on with it.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Dom's already done it. I'll stay quiet. It's all good.
And not that I don't enjoy listening to stories of Los Angeles and everything that went down the hotel room, but I also know that that can spiral into a completely different conversation. And I don't know, are we past the watershed yet? Because that we can't talk about that.
I just think Denny's. We should leave Denny's mysterious because it's the fishing. It's like the Gavin and Stacey fishing trip in it. They give me a whole Denny's trip.
One day we will do a stage show and someone will literally just shout the word Denny's out and we'll still not be able to tell you about Denny's.
Can't tell you what happened at Denny's.
Certainly not past a certain time. Denny's.
Yeah. Well, we won't get a milkshake after a certain time either.
Martin, if you're watching, you better stay quiet. I know where you live.
From myself, I just want to say there's a few things going on at the moment. If you can go, I've now plugged it a few times. Rush on Rock. There's plenty of features dropping there. I know at the moment Simon and Rich, who are the kind of head up Rush on Rock, are at a metal festival up here in Newcastle, and there'll be lots of coverage of that going on. So if that's what you're into, go check out. If you just want to read some wrestling stuff, there's an AEW feature that kind of introduced you a little bit more into AEW, more into All In and how we got to where we are, and a little bit of the future for them. There's a couple of more things coming up. There's going to be an Adam Cole feature coming up because it wouldn't be me if I didn't plug my favorite wrestler, which is Adam Cole, baby. And he will hopefully be a prominent part of All In. There's also a WWE feature going up, I believe tomorrow, which will cover off what the kind of state is. And as I've kind of said, WWE are currently shaking up and shipping out. There's a lot going on at the moment for them. And then I believe, hopefully, next week's video that we're going to be talking about is some of the people who have been called up from NXT in particular. So who are they? Should you be excited? And kind of all that good stuff. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the people from NXT that have moved up into Raw and SmackDown, including someone you should be very excited about, which is Grayson Waller. So we'll be talking about that. And of course, I'm hoping that Sam and Dom may join me. They might be busy, but I'm hoping they will come back. It's always very fun to have those guys on. And also, away from wrestling, go check out my review of Guardians of the Galaxy, which can be found over on Soundsphere. And go watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because I could wax lyrical about that for the next half an hour. But instead, I'm going to finish it there. Go read my musings over on Soundsphere. We've plugged enough. It's time. It's 10 o'clock. I think that's a good time for people to get themselves away and enjoy the rest of their bank holiday weekend. Please support the guys tomorrow night. If you're going to watch Backlash, get your phone out, stick YouTube on, get these guys. I know I sound like Sean Connery trying to pronounce Backlash there. But yeah, appreciate you being here. It's always really awkward to try and do this while you're then secretly trying to get an outro ready to go on as well. They've been Sam. They've been Dom. I've been Sporsy19. I'm just reading names now. This has been Wrestling Royalty. See you guys.